different nationalities are heading out today, Sunday, April 28th, on this historic transatlantic course uniting Europe to North America. Considered a sprint of a race, 3,500 nautical miles lay ahead for these intrepid sailors. We have 3 categories that make up our fleet: 33 60-foot IMOCAs, 13 Class 40s, and 2 in the vintage category. We'll tell you all about them later. I'm Natasha Gonzalez, joined in the commentary booth by Pam Lee, Irish professional offshore sailor, now based here in Lorient, who holds the world record around Ireland in a Figaro 3, involved with the famous project, the Magenta Project. She's crossed the Atlantic more times than she can count with both hands. Thanks, Pam, for joining us.
Well, thanks for a lovely introduction, Natasha. Super to be here, and how lucky are we with these conditions. It's going to be tricky for the sailors with light and fluky winds, but absolutely superb for the spectators. So we can't wait to see them set off around our little inshore course around Ile de Bois and then head out across the Atlantic. It's going to be super.
Yep, they will be taking the start here very soon in under 20 minutes, or 30 minutes, I should say, so stay with us. The Transat CIC was the first single-handed ocean race ever organized. Born in 1960 from just a bet between a handful of British sailors to find out if they were capable of crossing the Atlantic single-handed. It was originally known as the Observer Single-Handed Transatlantic Race,
or the O-Star, which I think a lot of the English and American sailors would be more familiar with.
Exactly, and referred to as the Transat Anglaise here in France for some time. This race has witnessed extraordinary stories in our sport, from the arrival of ocean-going multihulls to the invention of routing. The race is at the origin of ocean sailing as we know it today.
Yeah, and with that, I think often we think of the big transatlantic races as the Route de Rome and the Transat Jacques Vabre, but this race really is a huge feature, and for a lot of these skippers it's a big bucket list. And also, let's not forget, it's the first time a lot of these skippers are doing this route and this race, so there'll be a lot of nerves out there and a lot of excitement too.
Yeah, there's only a few handful, maybe not even a handful, of these skippers that have actually participated in this race. We'll tell you who they are later on. On this 15th edition of the race, we celebrate the 60th year anniversary since Éric Tabarly won the race back in 1964. A win that blew up sailing in France, and Tabarly became a household name. This race is at the footsteps of La Cité de la Voile Éric Tabarly, which was created in 2008, a museum dedicated to ocean racing, and right in front are berthed all 5 of the Pendwick yachts. Pendwick 5 is the precursor of today's 60-foot monohulls, now known as the IMOCAs, which we are looking at right now, Group Apicil of Damien Séguin.
Yeah, and it's an exciting course that we have here today. We've got the depart from Lorient just out in front of us now. They actually take a little loop around Gouas before heading westwards all the way across the Atlantic. Now, what's going to be tricky here is how far north they go before they can really go west, and then sailing all the way down through the tricky south of the ice gates and through the Gulf Stream to arrive in no less than New York itself. As an Irish sailor, arriving in New York would be an incredible feat, so I'm very envious of these sailors.
Yep, the Big Apple under the Statue of Liberty, of course, is a beautiful arrival. What are some of the great features of this race, Pam?
Well, the thing about this race, it's quite different from the Transat Jacques Vabre and the Route de Rome and the other races from here, is they're going westwards kind of almost at the wrong time of the year. So what they'll be facing is a series of weather systems coming towards them, creating westerly winds. So it's a really tricky race in that sense, because there can be a lot of upwind, a lot of reaching too. And also because they go quite far north and some of the systems are coming down from above that can bring northerly winds, which are very, very cold too. So it's really, it's a tough race here that we're talking about. On the other transatlantic races, often the finish is really led by some nice downwind, trade wind sailing. That's not the case here, not the case at all. Perhaps the end will be the trickiest.
Yeah. This is a symbolic departure for these vessels. There are 3 vessels taking the symbolic start today, as we see right now. That was ACC Wing. It's a high-performance flexible wing. They're trying to make like an America's Cup wing, which is the most efficient, but it's rigid. You cannot store it, so they're trying to find a practical use for this technology. Another one of the boats is a catamaran, Beyond the Sea. The Sea Kite, a system developed for towing all types of vessels, yachts, fishing boats, merchant navy ships. Yeah, there it is. We can see the kite flying. Yeah. Yeah, by using these kites with the engines, they can reduce fuel consumption. And of course, these moments, Pam, leaving the dock for the skippers, it's always so emotional. It doesn't matter if they're going around the world or just a transatlantic race with family and friends on the dock. It's always such a special moment, especially for kids, no?
Yeah, and the thing about this is one of the great things about offshore racing is you can plan and be prepared as much as you want, but really once you leave the dock, once you go to the start line, it's an adventure and you don't know what's going to come your way. And as we mentioned before, a lot of these sailors on Poggio, they are really doing this course and this water and this navigation for the first time. So it's nerve-wracking. And for the class 40s there, you know, they're going to be out there on their own for up to 12 days.
Yeah, I mean, they seemed kind of nervous because it is the first season. They didn't have much time to prepare their boats. And, of course, the North Atlantic going against the headwinds like that and currents, it's definitely going to test their boats. And it's sort of like an elimination race in a way. I heard a few skippers mention it in that way.
Yeah, well, certainly with the weather conditions that are coming through, luckily the first day or so they've got quite pleasant conditions, but then after that there's going to be a first front coming through and followed by a second front, which is going to be a lot heavier, maybe even with winds gusting up to 40 knots and sea swell of up to 5 meters. So they're really going to have to sail smart and preserve themselves to get through this first half of the race before they can then tackle, you know, as I mentioned, what's still a very, very tricky finish.
The start line is going to be separated between the IMOCAs that will cross the line. There's going to be a yellow buoy dividing the start line, so the IMOCAs will pass this buoy to port, and the class 40s and the vintage category will pass the buoy to starboard. And then, like you said, they will pass Gua to starboard. The line will be open for 60 minutes. Yeah, the team and the Zodiacs need to leave the zone 4 minutes before the start. So the team, as we were looking at right there, you know, on board Malizia, they are still on board helping them get the boats ready in the perfect position to have a great start.
Yeah, so what they'll be doing now is they're going out, as we said, the conditions are quite fluky and quite variable this afternoon. We've kind of got predictions of anything from 8 to 15 knots at the moment. I think we've got about 13 knots out there. We see there's quite a lot of movement in the sky, so it will be quite fluky. And even off the start line there, with so many boats, you know, they'll be trying to get their position, get their clear air, but also avoid collisions and avoid damage. So it is a good thing that they've split the lineup, because at least that clarifies one side of it.
Yeah, for sure. There's not a lot of visibility with the IMOCAs, especially. Not quite sure about the class 40s on a start.
Yeah, I mean the same now. A lot of the new, there's a few new boats in the class 40 fleet, and a lot of the new designs of the class 40 have a much deeper cockpit, which does provide more protection for the skipper, but it is a higher roof that you've got to look over and look out of. So, and as the same with the IMOCAs, you know, some of these sailors are almost inside, so it's a bit of a trade-off between protection and comfort. And here we see one of the newest boats, actually, Vincent Rio there, 203. And it's a very new design. It's got a single rudder at the back, where all the other class 40s have a double rudder at the back, and a new keel design too. So he'll really be one to watch in this race. It's the first time we're seeing this boat out here, so that's going to be really interesting. Of course, the winner of the Vendée Globe 2004-2005, and sailing all last year in class 40, kind of getting ready to have his own boat on board.
and it's his second participation in this race, so he knows the way. And Violette d'Orange on Devenir, the youngest skipper. Well, there's two. There's one on the Class 40 as well, with 23 years old. She still hasn't finished finding her sponsorship, the full budget for her Vendée Globe. So hopefully anybody out there wanting to help a really young sailor, she sees this race as training mostly.
And here we've got Johan Risham and Arkea Paprek. So a lot of the IMOCAs will be sporting new foils now as well. They've all just come out of the yard, and they've been doing a lot of work, a lot of boats with new foils and new seating arrangements for them. And of course, this is really the teamwork there. Teamwork SNEF, Justine Metro, with SNEF, the new partner, joining them. It's their first time venturing into the IMOCAs. New foils here, and they've also reconstructed the inside seating arrangements for Justine to really make it more comfortable for her. So for these boats, the IMOCAs with the new foils, that it's really a first opportunity for them to test these boats and the new foils before the Vendée Globe this year. You know, because a lot of this, it takes a long time to make a new pair of foils, so there'll be a lot of pressure on the technical teams here as well, not just the sailors, because they'll all be wondering how it's going to go.
Yeah. Louis Burton on Bure Vallée. He's excited to be in New York. He actually took his kids out of school here in France, and him and his wife put them in a school, will be putting them in a school in New York for a month.
Oh, wow. That's an exciting, good idea.
Isabelle Josque, she's done this race in a Class 40 before.
Okay, so she knows the route. She knows the route. Of course, a different thing on an IMOCA, they're moving faster through the systems, faster around the systems, and then we're adding foils into the mix.
Yeah. La Micaline as well. Arnaud Boissier, he's also participating in this race.
So of course with the IMOCAs we've got the foiling category and we've got the daggerboard category and the groove category. So although they all race together in one class, it's almost like we have two races within the one race, and the daggerboard boats will be kind of hustling against each other, whilst the foiling boats are hustling against each other too. So it's always interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, for sure. There will be no return if they cross the line early. If anybody crosses the line early, they will get a 4-hour penalty, which they will need to take this penalty before 20 degrees west longitude. And otherwise, if they don't, then the penalty can be even higher. So we'll see how they do.
Nice shot of Clarisse here in her last time.
Clarisse Kremer. They're using their version 1 foil. They went back on it. They're trying to preserve and take care of their second version of foils for the Vendée Globe. I believe Justine Metro is doing the same thing. She has her older foils for this race because, you know, they don't want to break the brand new ones.
Yeah, exactly. As I said, a lot of this is training, preparation, and preservation for the Vendée Globe. It's really on the countdown now for that round the world race, and there's not the time to be remaking and redoing things. So there's a bit of strategy at play there, not just for the sailors, but for the technical teams, the boat captains, and in discussion with the skippers on how best to play it.
Yannick Bestaven, last winner of the last Vendée Globe.
Attention à tous les concurrents, attention à tous les concurrents. Dans 30 secondes, on sera à 15 minutes du départ.
Okay, 30 minutes to be 15 minutes before departure. So that's what we were listening from the race direction, the radio.
Secondes. Attention pour les 15 minutes avant le départ. Dans 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop pour les 15 minutes.
Okay, now it's the 15-minute countdown to crossing the line. The line back in the finish line in New York will be closed on the 19th of May. There's also penalties for speed in marine protection zones. They can only go 10 knots in these zones. There's a few of them. Technical stops, only the class 40 can do technical stops, a minimum of 4 hours.
Well, of course, there's not even, I mean, we look at it and, okay, today with the routing, it looks like they'll probably head up towards Concarneau inside the Glenans looking for a shift before they tack out really into the Atlantic and kind of almost northwards towards Ireland. So actually there isn't very many opportunities for technical stops, even if they are allowed, because the first few days here are going to be reasonably manageable, and it's not until Wednesday that they're really going to get a heavy front coming through, and by then they're halfway through the Atlantic. So
yeah, well, the class 40s with permission, they would be able to do a technical stop in Azores if need be. There's also DTS zone penalties. It'll be 30 minutes for the IMOCAs and 50 minutes for class 40s and vintage if they cross these DTS zones.
And there's Tanguy. He'll be a big contender in the daggerboard group from the IMOCAs. He had a difficult season last year, so it's really great to see him back on the water and lining up for his first Vendée Globe this year. So with 13 minutes to go to the start, they'll be checking the wind direction. You see a difference there. Some of them have 3 foresails up, some of them 1. A little bit of live transmission from underwater there.
Of course, this is he's the favorite to win. Massif today, his boat is really made for these type of conditions. You can see how they've really closed the cockpit. He has a new bed, a new chair.
Yeah, there's been a lot of work put into a lot of the IMOCAs here to really, I guess, improve the living conditions for the skippers on board. This is a good race to test that, because they do have harsh conditions that they're going to be facing, particularly with the headwinds, the cold northerlies coming through, and that big sea swell on Wednesday. So a lot of it's been ergonomic chairs for them to sit in, molded to their, I know Sam Davies has a chair molded to her body.
Yeah, exactly. They have all been working on their ergonomics.
Here's Milizia, also new foils on board here. So, like with Justine there. She's also got a new ergonomic setup within, I believe, trying to make her life better, all with an eye to the Vendée Globe. So class 40s on the IMOCAs have 2 very different seasons this year. Actually, the IMOCAs are setting up for this transatlantic race and then another transatlantic race back before it's Vendée go time. Whereas the class 40s are racing over with this race, and then there's an America series where they race up towards Quebec, and then they'll be doing the Quebec-Saint Malo back across, which is actually a teamed race. So it's quite a dynamic season for the class 40s this year. So I guess the objectives for the class 40s and the IMOCAs in this race are actually somewhat different.
Yeah. It's a very important year for sailing. The year of the Olympic Games taking place in France. The America's Cup also in Europe taking place in Barcelona. And of course, the year of the Vendée Globe. They're setting sail the 10th of November from France. So very important year 2024 for offshore single-handed sailing.
Yeah, there's something there for everyone really, isn't there?
Yeah, and other races that have left Lorient-la-Basse in the past, the yearly Défi Azimut is a favorite. There was a stopover of the Volvo Ocean Race in 2012 and the Ocean Race Europe in 2022. And last year, at the end of the year, there was the arrival of the Retour à la Basse last September. So it's nice to see the boats leave to have a race of this category, leaving from Lorient-la-Basse. That's kind of considered as the sailing valley of offshore sailing nowadays.
Yeah, and you could really feel that this morning on the pontoons. There was such a buzz and such an excitement. So many public came to see the boats and send them off. It really was a buzz about it. It's a really nice energy building around offshore sailing, particularly more and more internationally. I think we've got more and more international skippers joining both the IMOCA class and the class 40 feet. And here we see, that
technical team.
technical team jumping off. So sailors are officially on their own now. Sometimes well, the fact that they're jumping off and into the rib means the weather conditions are pretty agreeable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we didn't see that during the last Transat Jacques Vabre, where conditions were really bad. Usually you see them basically jumping off into the water.
Yeah, I am Francis Legoff, the race director, is the same for the Transat Jacques Vabre last year, and I'd say he's breathing a little sigh of relief to not have to deal with what he was dealing with at the end of last year. That said, it's still not an easy job organising that many boats of, you know, the speed. You've got foils everywhere, all of this on one start line still heading out. So even if the conditions are somewhat gentler, you know, it's still a high attention situation for everyone involved.
So, the favorites for IMOCA foilers. Let's talk about them. Charlie Dallin on Massif Santé Prévoyance. He was the winner of the Rolex Fastnet race. Then they say that Johan Richomme on IMOCA Paprec Arkea. He won the Retour à la Basse and was second in the Transat Jacques Vabre.
And the route to Rome, the last route to Rome, the class 40 is the winner also. So.
Jeremy Bayou on Charal. He got second at the Retour à la Basse, another favorite. And, you know, I guess Yannick Besteven on Maitre Coq, winner of the last Vendée Globe 2020. So here we hear countdown.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop!
So that's the 8 minutes there, so we're within starting sequence now.
That's right. 8-minute advisory signal. Then we'll get another one at 4 minutes, and then one at 1 minute.
Roll.
And then it'll be the start. Nicolas Lundvin on Wholesome PRB. I would say another favorite to win the race.
I mean, that's the thing. We've got a little list of favorites there, but really, like, there's an incredible amount of talent in both fleets. Both new sailors into the fleets, such as Vincent Rio, back into class 40, really going to mix it up there, because of course in class 40 we've got the Italian favorites, Alberto Bono and Ambrogio Beccaria. So they haven't been racing against Vincent on his new boat, so you know it'll be really exciting to see what happens there. And of course Justine has really been performing at the top, so again, you know, there's so many names I've put on that list.
Yeah. So favorites in the class 40, Ambrogio Beccaria on Alla Grande Pirelli, winner of the Transat Jacques Vabre and the CIC Normandy Channel race. He's, what, first place in the class?
Yeah, he just performed incredibly last year with his Italian-built boat as well, and he's just been in top form in the Super Grand Tour. It's going to be really interesting to see how he plays in very different conditions to what, you know, he's really been able to deal with the last year. So.
And Alberto Bona on IBSA, winner of the 2023 class championship. There's also Jan Lipinski on Crédit Mutuel, winner of the Défi Atlantique, another one. And of course, we need to mention Vincent Riou, you know, on Pireval Fondation Good Planet, brand new boat. And it's his second participation in this Transat. And winner, like you said, of the Vendée Globe 2005.
But I did mix the boats there. The interesting thing about Jan Lipinski, of course, is that he's just launched a new boat, but he's doing this race in 158, his existing boat.
And what about favorites in the dagger board in the IMOCAs? Benjamin Ferret, Monoyeur Duo for a Job. Who else?
Well, we've got Tanguy Letonte. I think he's going to be a really good contender.
On La Sarre.
Yeah.
He had a tough year last year.
He did, but we saw him really perform well and catch up after some serious setbacks. So I think, you know, he's going to be here with a lot of ambition, a lot of intention. And he's been working really hard to get himself to this Vendée Globe. So I think he's definitely going to watch.
I love the color of his boat.
Yeah.
And he has mostly females working. He's actually not doing the New York Vendée. He's going to doing a delivery back, and it's going to be all-female delivery back.
Here we have Sam Davies. Another one I put in my favorite list, of course. New foils on here, new internal setup for Sam as well. Followed closely by her technical team. I know that she's really focused and really excited to be back in the water and sailing on this Blondie again.
Yeah, there we have the technical team getting off board pretty soon. It's her second time doing this race, so she did it in 2008 on Roxy. Her IMOCA, she got about 5th place, 5th or 6th. And she also did the bridge from France to New York, so she's arrived to New York before. She's looking forward to saluting the Statue of Liberty. It's the 3rd year that they have this boat. Very reliable. They're on version 2 foils, so good performance. And like we said, they worked on ergonomics, new chair, safety. She's facing backwards, so kind of like traveling like the Queen of England does.
And of course, Sam, a favourite for all of us, an absolute icon of sailing here in France, and a really true representation of how well us internationals can do over here.
Yeah.
We're into the
Guirec today, you know, one of the on freelance.com. He's another one of the Daggerboard favorites. And so is Louis Duc on 5 Group Lantana Environment. Actually, Louis Duc knows this way the most. He has had the most participations on this Transat, his 3rd participation.
So we're coming up to the 3 minutes to go here, so we can see everyone's kind of moving towards the start line. A fair bit of space between the boats still now. Of course, they'll be trying to get clear off the start, and then they'll be going down towards the point of the Bois there. So again, with the fluky winds, there'll also be something to deal with the wind shadow off Ile de Bois, so not getting too close to there on the way round, as well as the cardinal marks. So a bit of technical navigation to deal with on that rounding quite soon after the start. We see a lot of spectator boats out there as well.
We haven't seen much of the 2 boats in our vintage category. This rum category created by the Route du Rhum allows adventurers to test themselves and their boats for the next Route du Rhum 2026. We have 2 boats, Faya Oae with Remy Guérin, and there we have U-Ship Patrick Isobard, 50-foot 1998 Finoconque design. He's had the boat for 1 year. So he's going to be doing the Route du Rhum 2026. And then the other boat is a wooden boat, 20-meter, built in 2006. He did the Route du Rhum in 2022. He got 7th place. So those make up our 2 vintage category boats.
So you can see everyone gaining up a bit of speed now. Still a nice bit of space between everyone, not too crowded on the line. I think everyone's going to be playing it pretty safe on this game. They're all well aware of. Oh, well, we've even got some boats up on the foils there. So
Massif looks like they're ready to go.
Wind
hopefully.
can't be too light. It looks like the wind's actually picked up a bit there. It looked like some cloud cover coming over, so they might have a nice little breeze to get them going for the start. We might get some foiling for those lucky spectators out in the water today.
Yeah, and a lot of people, as we were looking at, were lined up on the shore as well with their binoculars. So nice that that little storm came through. Ooh, that looks so close. Here we go.
So that's 1 minute. We are in the final starting sequence. You can see who we got here. Massif coming up quite close to the line. Hull Steam coming around there. Hublot in a good position.
Bearing away a bit, trying to slow down here.
And then down to the far end we can just about see the Class 40s hustling and bustling there. A little bit tricky to tell who's who from here. But plenty of space for everyone on the line. Massif still pulling out her front, there with Biothon slowing down too.
Yeah, hopefully nobody crosses the line too early.
It's 15 seconds. 10.
Bon départ pour cours de Transat CIC.
That is a bon départ, as we say here in France, means clear line, clear start. So no one's over, everyone's clear to go. And look at Massif and Biotherm pulling out there. They were at the start and had speed already coming up to the line. And we've got Sam below, Initiative Curl there. Looks like she's kind of heading into a nice little breeze patch there, so we'll see how she goes. Again, a little tricky to see what's going on in the class 40s there, but someone is, two boats there just at the front.
You can barely see the buoy there that was separating the fleets.
Oh, here we can see. Out here they look all mixed together. So, we've got Ambrosio in the class 40s out in front, as per usual. Right behind him is Jan Lipinski there. The big flowers, we've got Amélie Grassi, the only female skipper in the class 40 class today. She had a really strong year last year. I'm really looking forward to seeing how she goes. We've got Laser out there in the front, so daggerboard boat out with the foilers. Doesn't look like they're really getting up on the foils just yet, does it?
No, it doesn't. But what a beautiful start with this beautiful breeze, westerly, 10 to 15 knots.
Class 40s now. Oh, here we go. I spoke too soon.
That's what we've been waiting for.
Yeah, keep it up, keep it up. So I think they really need about 50 knots to get flying, which is just what we're going to have here in some of the gusts. Of course, it's something they've been working on a lot. So we've got IBSA there in the middle. Class 40 is much more tightly packed than the IMOCAs, I must say, and a wide range of sail choice here. We've got some with the Jennikers up. We can see their Legilat there. He's got his Jenniker and the J1 as a stay sail. Same as Jan Lipinski up there. He's got also the Jenniker, whereas Amélie, she's just got the jib, the big jib. IBSA.
Axel Triant.
Yeah. So a variety of choices there. Is always interesting to see how they go, and I guess it's going to all, well, we'll see how it pays off as they come up around the bottom of Belle Ile, because some of them will have a sail change and a manoeuvre to do, whereas some of them will just be able to harden up nice and quick, so we'll see.
Fabian Delahaye.
Yes, a big contender as well.
Beautiful sail. What is all that art?
I think the class 40s, the sponsor branding and the work behind them is just amazing to see. Looks like they're pretty close hold on those Jennikers there. There's Jan Lipinski again on 158. Oh, he's now actually passed out. We saw Ambrosio there before, and we see Jan taking the lead, and we've got another bowsprit popping in here. Some great footage from on the water, I must say. Yes, 199, just who we were talking about.
Yeah. Fabian Delahaye, those three, looks like they're battling it out just from the start.
Does look like the Jenniker is paying off a bit. I wonder why Amélie has not decided to put it out.
There's a few others, Axel Triant as well, and some others that I didn't catch at the end there.
Well, definitely nice breeze. There may be a good battle here between Ambrosio and Jan Lipinski. Always good to see these sailors out. They actually sailed together and won the Normandy Channel race, not this year but the year before. Jan Lipinski, of course, one of the top most recognized sailors in the class 40 fleet.
With a brand new boat that was splashed right next to it, which is not the one he's using for this race.
Yeah. Nicolas Desté, of course, another classic from the class 40 races with Café Joyeux. He doesn't have the J1 out as a stay sail. Again, it's always an interesting discussion within the fleet and the various options here. And that's with Saint-Brieuc. Yes, with the single daggerboard. We can really see that difference at the back. It looks quite strange to me to be looking at class 40 without the lifting rotors at the back. It's going to be very interesting to see how this design goes. Of course,
there's a trimmer on the keel, is that right?
Yeah, a new trim box design on the keel, which is going to, well, he believes allow him to play even more with the performance. And here we've got 98, so this is it the oldest class 40 in the fleet? One of, anyway.
Looks like it with that number, no?
Yeah, and you can really see the difference on the bow there, so see that pointy bow. But I mean, the thing is, the class 40s with the scow bow, it's really designed for the downwind, trade wind conditions in the other Transat races. So who knows? I mean, the pointy bow in these more upwind conditions and those bigger swells could pay off a little.
And there we have the fleet of the IMOCAs with Chahal and Massif leading the way.
Massif still flying. Is Chiral up on his foils? It looks like he's come down a little bit, doesn't he?
It's a little
And
bit
Massif
shadowed
has just,
there.
as we speak, come off the foils. I think it could be really tricky in the conditions today to stay flying because it's really going to be up and down and fluky. We can see the different colours of the wind on the water. They're really patchy today. Not easy at all. Got some kiters out the back, some foilers. What a nice day to be out in the kite for. Yeah, none of them up on the foils there, but look at these three of the top IMOCA skippers, top favourites. New foils on Chiral also. There.
Right behind it, we can see Groupe du Breuil with Sébastien Simon. That is the former 11th Hour Racing Team boat that just won the ocean race last year.
Nice. Yeah, of course. A lot of these IMOCAs would have been using the ocean race last year to test some of the designs and design ideas, and then taking what they learned last year for the refits this year in the winter. And so this is really the first time that we'll be seeing those changes from what they learned in that big race put into play in preparation for this year's Vendée Globe.
Charal, Jeremy Bayou.
Still holding off Massif there. So taking the lead off the start, Jeremy Bayou.
Nexans.
We've got Gen 2 sailing. Yeah. Two daggerboard boats beside each other there, so they're tight on competition. And we see Sam just pulling out on the other side there, Sam Davies. You can hear the creak of the trim of the sails even from here. And we've got Justine Metro, Teamwork, Team Snef. Not, well, hot on the heels of Chiral. Also, arguably in a nice position against Johan Risham, just there in the putt break below her. So she'll have the inside lane coming around Blondie du Bois here.
Yeah.
But it does look like a little bit more breeze out there on the land, so it looks like she's slowed down a little bit now. So we'll see if she comes back into that breeze.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder if really the foils make that much difference. She's on her version 3 foils, VPLP design. Like we said before, a choice made to preserve the leptest foils for the Vendée Globe.
Here we see the Class 40s again. So we've still got Jan Lipinski holding his lead there. Ipsa looks like stand up. And then we have Amélie Grassi. She's still holding on really nicely with her choice of no Jannikers. So interesting to see that. Of course, it does also depend, although they've got Jannikers here, each one of them will have a slightly different design depending on the choices they've made in their sail-making design and also the sail makers. So some of them will have a Janniker slightly more suited to close hold conditions than others, so that can play into the decisions here. Now we've got Ambrosia Vicaria with that beautiful looking boat. Really one of the top favorites.
So winners of the last edition of this race, 2016, it was François Gabard on an Ultime, Armel Leclerc on the IMOCA, and Thibaut Vauchel on Class 40. Armel Leclerc does hold the record in an IMOCA with 12 days, 2 hours, 28 minutes, and 39 seconds. We would probably see that record being broken this year. And he went to win the Vendée Globe 2016 after winning the Transat CIC. So,
yeah, I think we're talking about a possible from 8 days for potentially the first IMOCA this year. So, yeah, I mean, we might see some record smash, which is going to be really exciting.
Which is the record, the 8-day record is held by the multihulls.
Yeah, so, I mean, it just highlights the progression that we're seeing year on year in all the boats, the IMOCAs, the Class 40s, and everything. It's a little bit insane.
Yeah. Also, Ellen MacArthur, after her 2000 participation in this Transat, went to win second place in the Vendée Globe in that same year.
And here we've got a boat de Bono on Ipsa. So we've got two Italian sailors really at the top of the class 40 fleet, which is nice to see because although, as you say, more international sailors coming in, they are both the IMOCA and the class 40 French dominated because mostly based here in France. But we've seen Alberto and Ambrogio really kind of give the locals a run for their money. It's nice to see.
Biotherm Paul Meya, who participated in the ocean race as well. So that boat has definitely been tested quite a bit.
Yeah, because of course not all the IMOCAs were in the ocean race. I think a lot of the IMOCAs doing the ocean race did see it as an opportunity to test. So I guess it'll be interesting to see now in this first big race after that if it has paid off.
And it's his second participation in this race. He participated in 2016 with SMA, his IMOCA, and he said that this race for him, it's an elimination race. It's hard to fix things upwind, and if you bear away, you lose about two or 3 hours.
Right there, well, we had the newest class 40, the 205. And for a lot of these new class 40s that are out there, as you say, an elimination race, it's a testing ground. These new boats haven't been through these conditions, haven't been sailed for this long, and the chances of breakages and damages are often higher when you haven't put your boat through its paces yet.
Maxime Sorel, VMB Mombana Mayenne.
Almost getting up on his oars there as we go. So yeah, a lot of the boats they'll be going off around Bois, and currently they'll be heading first more northwards towards Concarneau inside the Glenhans to look for a little shift before tacking out towards the Atlantic, and I'm taking a more northerly route initially towards Ireland before making a decision on either a slightly more northerly or southerly route to attack the first system that's coming through.
So we were just talking about Maxime Sorel. It's his second time also participating in this race. He also participated in 2016 on a class 40, but he hit a cargo ship and had to abandon the race. So he hopes to be able to arrive to New York this time.
Yeah, of course. Not just the weather and the boats to deal with. A lot going on there.
There we have dagger boards, boats racing each other.
We had Violette just in front there.
On Devenir and Benjamin Ferret on Monoyor doing for a job.
Of course, this boat has a great history itself. It's been through the paces with a number of top level skippers. Beautiful day on the water. Look at those spectators. And lucky because there was a moment when the IMOCAs were leaving the dock earlier that the heavens opened, lashing rain. Yes. So I'd say everyone's quite relieved. Really,
yeah, it was sort of predicted that way, though.
Yeah, really busy on the water there. Wow, taking a nice clean. And on board into a salmon initiative for Cresta. She really has to come out of the boat to have a look around.
Yeah, beautiful drawings from children that have been saved from operations in their heart that an artist came to do inside of the cockpit. We're getting quite a range out with the cameras on board.
Yeah, we see the class 40s now already mixed in with the IMOCAs, particularly the daggerboard boats.
Is that one of our vintage?
And behind there, we've got, actually you see them behind there, we've got CIC, which is Timothy Poulet. It's only 23 years old. So
that's the second youngest,
yeah.
Or the two, they're both 23 years old.
Yeah, there's also Anatole Fasson, who's on a 123, an older boat, she's also 23. So really some young blood in the class 40 fleet.
So we were looking at a minute ago, you shipped the 50-foot 1998 boat in our vintage category.
Here we have Boris Herman and Maletia, just behind two daggerboard boats. There at the bright pink is Blondie.
Not such a great start for Boris Herman, Team Maletia.
Yeah, well, we'll see now whether we can get it back up on his foils and start hunting them down.
Yeah, interesting. Their foils, you know, they had to use a different pair of foils during the ocean race. So now those foils are brand new, so he'll be testing those during this transatlantic. And his boat is pretty good boat for this kind of course.
Yeah, of course he's been able to test it a lot last year also, the ocean race boats.
And they did won the parade the other day. The parade that the boats did as part of the Transat CIC around Ile-de-Bois. Version 3 foils, some manoir design. They're fully retractable now, which the version that they had before weren't, because they weren't really made for his boat. And they did work on the ergonomics as well. Cockpit seat facing sideways and improvements to bed bunk and kitchen area. So, you know, a lot of those ocean race boats that were kind of fixed up for crude have now been, you know, changed and optimized for single-handed racing, as all the races this year will be single-handed. The Transat CIC solo race, as well as the New York Vendée, leaving a few weeks after from New York, arriving to Vendée.
Beautiful shot. Really,
The lighthouse at
showing
Ile-de-Bois.
showing off Ile-de-Bois in all its glory. Really lovely breeze in the end. Actually, it was definitely a little bit fluky at the start, but they look all quite comfy, moving nicely, but you know, not out of control. Still got the class 40s in there. Obviously, Legala has sneaked up there actually on the inside of Ambrogio, even ahead of Jan Lipinski maybe. And looks like Jan is struggling there a little bit to hold that Jenniker. He's just had to bear away a little bit. So this might be where the decision of Amelie Crassi to stay on her G1 might pay off. We see Ambrogio has lost a little bit of ground there. Here we have Violet.
Yeah, of course, rounding that buoy off of Ile-de-Bois, you have a totally different sail that you need to use heading up towards Les Glénaux. So that's something that we heard sailors talking about, you know, what to do, because especially on the IMOCAs, it does take some time to change sails. So would it really be worth it?
Yeah. I mean, we can't forget that they're single-handed here. So then we have Amelie again, because she was partaking in the ocean race last year on board
Bioturn.
Yeah. She's having a peep out, having a look at what's going on.
There she's waving at us. Fantastic. The only female in the class 40 category.
Yeah, she's really been flying high. She had a great season last year, and a really strong Transat Chapter as well.
Isabelle Josque on MACSF, one of our few female participants as well. Like we said, she knows the way, participated in this race before. Excited to be out on the water again. And we have Oliver Hare in the foreground. Oliver Hare Ocean Racing. And we're on board with Boris Herrmann on Team Malizia.
It's very cool to be able to have a look inside how it actually works on board these very enclosed IMOCAs, very different sailing from what a lot of us would be used to.
And sponsors out on the water on ribs. There's also the virtual regatta. I mean, being an skipper is a thing now. Did you know?
I did know. I tried playing it once myself, but I think I crashed into Africa and I left it there and thought I'd keep my skills for on the water.
So that race has taken the start as well today. Plenty of people. You can go to virtualregatta.com and become an skipper.
Yeah, race with the best. A lot of, see all the spectator boats, and the water looks quite messy and quite choppy. We can't forget that there's ribs, there's spectator boats everywhere, and also, luckily enough, the tides won't play too much of a factor today. We've got quite a low coefficient, so that's not too much into consideration. Sometimes the tides can be a really big impact, but not today.
Human Immobilier Antoine Cornic. This boat was built in 2006. In 2020, he changed the mast, keel, and rudders.
Yeah.
So his objective is to preserve the boat.
Of course, a lot of the IMOCAs, actually by regulation this year for the IMOCA class, there's been reinforcements to the bowsprits and the masts. So nearly all the IMOCAs are testing out new regulations there.
Oh, and there we have it. That is our second, the vintage category, Faya Oae with Remy Guérin, our 20-meter wooden boat built in 2006. Home port is La Trinité-sur-Mer. He got 7th place in the Route du Rhum in 2022. His sons, who are 20 and 23 years old, are double-handed in the race Cap Martinique at the moment.
All right, sailing family.
Yeah, and he's doing the return, return with one of his sons after this race.
See, the fleet has really stretched out quite a bit already. It'll be probably because of this shifty weather. If you tap into a bit of breeze, you're really going to get a bonus in these sort of conditions.
Yeah, we'll be following the fleet for another 8 minutes about.
Yeah, and as we said, first they're all going to kind of hang a right around Ile de Gois and be heading up a little bit, staying relatively close to the French coast before they're kind of taking a shift to head outwards, and then they'll be going. Routings look like we'll be taking it a bit more north, almost towards Ireland, and then at some time this evening, around 9 o'clock this evening, they'll really need to make a decision whether they're going to take that more northerly route or a slightly more west southerly route to attack the rest of the Atlantic. The northerly route, of course, is saying maybe a little bit faster, but there's a danger of really falling into a bit of a windless zone just off the coast of Ireland. But it could lead to a more favourable reaching angle back westerly afterwards, whereas the southerly route, a little bit safer, you might be avoiding that windless zone and cutting off a few miles, but the danger of having a slightly closer, less favourable angle afterwards. So they'll be making those decisions tonight with the weather grid updates that come in this evening.
On board with Justine Métro on Teamwork Sniff. OC Sport has organized this race since 2008. In 2012, there was no race because of a conflict with the IMOCA class, and on 2020 as well, there was no race because of COVID.
Justine there, sitting happily in third position. And I guess the skippers will be soaking up these kind of gentler conditions. As I said, we'll be coming over. They'll get a first kind of front on Monday evening, and then it's really on Wednesday that the second low is going to come through, and they're going to get quite a hammering. 40 knots of wind, really rough seas, cold weather, and that's what they're really going to have to battle through. So this is going to be in the back of their minds now as they're sailing out. And then we might even there's going to be a little bit of a ridge after that, so almost potentially an opportunity for a little bit of a restart there, as maybe the boats at the front might slow down a little bit, allowing the others to catch up. However, if one of them manages to get through that and onto the other side and pick up the breeze, we could see a flyer for the finish too.
It might be like an accordion effect to pass that ridge.
Yeah. So
and they're going to be, coming up 3 or 4 lows that they're gonna.
Yeah, well, they've got a first lesser one on Monday night, and then the second big one should be coming. The first of the IMOCA should be taking that on the head on Wednesday. And then, as I said, this ridge before another series coming across. It's really kind of non-stop when you're going across in this direction. Of course, at that point, we're looking about 3-4 days out, so it's a little tricky for us to really have a clear idea of how it will go. And then, of course, if they come into America, there's, you know, different tactical decisions. Both they've got the exclusion zone north, the ice, and then a very short channel, a narrow channel of water between the exclusion zone and the Gulf Stream, which is the really strong currents. And so they're really going to have to play with that, because it's a kind of tight area of sailing between there, and really depending on the weather conditions, will you be able to identify that Gulf Stream or not. So, you know, navigational tactics as well as meteorological tactics to be played, and not forgetting that's the very end, so they'll be tired. We're hoping that their boats have been well kept, but yeah.
So Chahal on the lead there, followed by Massif, and further down Arkea Paprec. Those are the 3 boats in the lead in the IMOCA class.
Yeah, and then we've got a little tight line of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boats out there behind them.
A race between Maître Coq, Biotherm, and Groupe du Breuil. Wholesome PRB behind that, and VMB Mombana behind that. Lovely day to be out in the water here in Lorient on the Brittany coast of France. A beautiful spring day.
Still not really up on their foils then, because they're just trying to get. It's always a bit tricky getting around this end of Ile du Bois. And of course they'll just be kind of come around and find the new breeze, and then they'll just be trying to settle into a good rhythm to take them up towards the Glenans, deciding whether to go inside or outside of the Glenans, that little bunch of islands just off Concarneau, very famous islands.
Yeah, beautiful. Les Îles Glénans, they are beautiful clear water. It's kind of like, they almost look like being in the Caribbean. We don't have to go far to accept the temperature of the water.
Slight change in water temperature, yeah. See the spectator boats peeling off a little bit as the boats move on, but the first class boats are just behind. But yeah, I imagine they'll come around Gua, and they'll probably try to set into a rhythm a little bit, maybe try to have a little bit of a nap, a little bit of a rest after the kind of energy and adrenaline stress at the start, so that they have clear heads to make that big call later on tonight about the route to take out westwards.
I see Sam Davis here and Damien Séguin close to each other, and 2 of the ocean race participants on Biotherm, and Paul Meillat, which is ahead of them on Biotherm. He said when he set sail that at least he wanted to be in front of his colleagues that he had, the skippers that he had raced with during the ocean race. He wanted to be ahead of them, and he is, for the moment.
Tanguy doing well off the start here, isn't he?
And we see Jean Lecan here.
The legend himself.
Yep. On Toutes Commandes and Finistère. He said in a press conference that he was going to take the start and then head back home to Concarneau. His boat isn't ready. He doesn't feel ready to take on this race. And the Vendée Globe qualification rules state that you just have to cross the start line of a race for qualification. So he's going to go straight to Concarneau after this.
There's Mule, looking good also.
She's using this race as a training and really testing her boat and trying to make it just to the other end to qualify for the Vendée Globe, which is basically the objective of everybody in a way.
There we go. Yes, all the IMOCAs there, like this season, it really is the run up rundown, the countdown to the big solo round the world race. And
Kojiro on DMG Mori. He's actually not the first Japanese to participate in this transatlantic. He's the second. Trying to find my notes. Because of course there's names that are hard to remember. So on 2016 there was a Japanese in a class 40, Hiroshi Kitada, that participated. Thank you so much for watching the live in English, joining me and Pam here. Hope you enjoyed it and that you continue to follow the race on the website. Do so.